Yo, what's going on, guys? Hope all is well. Welcome to another live training. And this one is the art of getting feedback and how you can use that to 10x your business and life results. I'm joined over here with Wyra, and we're just going to have a discussion
Yo.
over here about this. Now, before we dive into the discussion, I want to share the dichotomy between the average entrepreneur and the elite entrepreneur. Guys, the average entrepreneur is all over the place. He makes emotional decisions in his business, which are oftentimes to his own detriment. And then he wonders, man, why can't I scale effectively? And why are clients leaving? And as a result, what could have been achieved in a few months ends up taking him years. And sometimes he doesn't even end up getting over there. The average entrepreneur, in most cases, hates his business. Now, the elite entrepreneur is focused because he has tight feedback loops integrated not just into his business, but also into his life, so that he's barely making any bad decisions. And even if he does, guys, he course corrects effortlessly within days, within weeks, which is why he's able to see consistent business growth, consistently profitable months. And he actually enjoys running his business, all because he's getting the right feedback. Now, I want to share a pretty embarrassing story, something that I literally just went through like 3 weeks ago. So it's really fresh. And Wyra is a witness over here. So I recently sent a scathing email, like just the nastiest email to one of my lawyers because I thought that he was trying to take advantage of me. And imagine this for a second. You are trying to help one of your friends in his business, and then you receive an email about how you are doing a terrible job and how all your friends' problems are actually your fault. Now, this friend of mine, this lawyer friend of mine, he was deeply hurt by what I said. And he told me that he wouldn't charge me for what it is that he was doing, but he would prefer that we just stopped working together professionally. And in that moment, I couldn't see that he was actually trying to save me a ton of money and time and frustration. And in the process, I almost burned a great relationship. You see, feedback is so crucial for most entrepreneurs. And it was in that moment that I actually went to a group of mine, a group of other entrepreneurs, and I said, hey man, this is the situation. Who's in the wrong? And to my surprise, it was me. You know, these guys lit me on fire. They told me, they said, hey, it's you. It's you that's the problem. And you know, Wyra was one of them. Wyra actually said, hey man, you should reach out to this guy. He's a good friend. He's trying his best. And you should freaking apologize because you're just being a dick. He said straight up, you're being a dick. And it was that feedback that I got that made me see, yo, I shouldn't be carrying myself this way in business with this individual because it's actually going to cost me, again, a lot of money, time, frustration by not working with this guy. So I was very, very grateful for that feedback. We still have a good relationship, myself and this lawyer. And I actually think that it helped our relationship become stronger because of how I reached out to him and took responsibility for how I was showing up. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for the feedback. So that's why I'm here with Wyra. He is someone that gives great feedback. He's also received a lot of feedback from myself and a bunch of other men. So Wyra, I wanted to ask you about why feedback is important and how has your life and business changed because of feedback?
Yeah, man. So the way I look at it is that the quality of our business and our lives is a result of the decisions that we make compounded over many, many months and many, many years. And the quality of the decisions that we make is determined by, in part, the quality of the data that we base our decisions on. Like, that's why we have KPIs for our business, obviously, right? Have better data, have better feedback loops, and you're going to make better decisions. You're going to build a better business, and you're going to make more money. The same applies to every area of your life, whether that's relationships, whether that's your health, whether that's how you're feeling every day, the energy levels that you wake up with, or your community, your family, your friends, how you're showing up in all these different parts of your life. If you don't have the right feedback loops that tell you if you're going in the right direction or the wrong direction, closer to your vision and where you want to go, or farther away from your vision and where you want to go, you're obviously going to get there slower, or the biggest risk is that you're not going to get there at all. And for a lot of my life, I did not ask for feedback. I would not take the risk of exposing myself because I wanted to look like I had it all figured out. And I wanted to other people to think that I was, smart and successful and didn't need help and had this kind of lone wolf persona that got in my way of asking for feedback and maybe being more honest and vulnerable about what were some of the issues and challenges that I was dealing with, because it was scary. Like, what if they judged me? What if they thought I was like a terrible entrepreneur or man or just some like kid who didn't know what he was doing? And that actually cost me a lot of money and growth and in multiple different businesses, and probably lost me relationships and cost me health, and has, I know, overall slowed me down. So there's a big impact to not having that feedback. And when I made the decision to put myself in relationships and containers that would give me the feedback, the really honest, raw feedback like Hamza was talking about, a lot of things started to change in my business and in my life. And I would say the biggest one overall was like more clarity, right? I would have more clarity in the decisions that I was making, and more confidence that the actions that I'm taking every day in the micro are going to get me to where I want to go long term in the macro. More confidence, more certainty, more clarity that I'm going in the right direction. And doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes or that I stopped making mistakes, right? Like business and life is such an iterative process. But what really changed was I was able to recognize much quicker when I was going in the wrong direction and course correct. And probably the biggest example I have of this personally was a couple of years ago. I was going through a lot of burnout, and my health was suffering. My hormones were all over the place. My testosterone had dropped 30% in 2 years. And, quite honestly, I couldn't get erections. And it was really scary being in my mid-20s and not being able to get hard. Really scary place to be. And I didn't know what was going on. And so I met with a doctor, and one of the feedback loops that I put in place was getting the data on my hormone levels. I did every single test possible that I could do, had to pee in cups, had to poop in cups, I got my saliva swabbed and all of that. And so through getting that feedback loop, I was able to, through getting the data and having some pretty direct conversations with my doctor, where he straight up told me, look, dude, if you don't change some things about how you're operating in your business, in your life, how you're working, how you're sleeping, your stress, you're going to end up being one of those guys that has a heart attack when they're 40 or 50. And so, yeah, that really caused me to course correct and change a lot of things in my life. And so that's just one example of many of the benefits of having the right feedback loops and data and people in your life to help you course correct. So I hope that answers your question. What about you, man? What changed in your life when you started really seeking out feedback from the right people?
I know a lot of guys watching this right now are wanting to grow their business. And don't get me wrong, that's what I want, it's what Wyra wants. I think being filthy rich is great. That said, I was overlooking my relationship big time, my marriage I'm talking about. And one of the things that I realized through getting feedback was how I just wasn't being the kind of man that's like seeing and witnessing my woman, my wife, and she was feeling very unloved by me, and she wasn't feeling my presence. And here I was thinking, okay, well, all she wants from me mainly is to be a provider. And to some extent that's true, but at the same time, that's not the only value I bring to her life. And through the process of working and grinding so hard and growing my business, she was losing her friend, she was losing her lover, and she was essentially parenting our kid alone. I was just this breadwinner that was in the shadows trying to reach his purpose, because I thought that that's what would make everything happy and make everything okay. And that wasn't the case. And it wasn't until I got some really strong feedback, which was that if I don't course correct and actually put some time into my relationship, my marriage of 6 years at that time, I would lose it. And not just that, I would lose my kid. I would lose a lot of things, my health, my my happiness, right? I mean, I'm doing this all for my family at the end of the day, and here I am inches away from losing them. So that was probably some of the toughest feedback that I ever got, and some of the best feedback I ever got, because the more it hurts, the more it stings. Like the ego, I found, at least for me, the more it slaps me in the face, the more it's something that I need to look at, because the kind of feedback that I've received that really benefited me wasn't the feedback that anyone in my life, friends, family, would really care or really even dare to say to me. And that's one of the, I think, tropes that a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'll talk about myself, I fell into, is that I was just surrounded by people that were ultimately yes men. Like my employees aren't going to tell me, Hamza, you're just being a freaking piece of shit right now. No, they're not going to say that to you. And I think that's one of the blind spots and one of the biggest traps that a lot of entrepreneurs fall into, is they don't seek that feedback. And even if they do, they go to like a business mentor because they're having an issue with their sales or their marketing or their systems, and they need operational help or whatever. And so they go to a business coach, or they go to a life coach for the purposes of improving their business. And again, not to say that that's bad, but what I'm trying to illuminate over here is that business mentors and business coaching will really only take you so far, because it's a very specific type of feedback that you're getting. But guess what? Business is just one of 7 life pillars. Okay, and I'm not going to get into what all the others are, but you could talk about spirituality, your health, your relationships, your love, your romance, etc. So anyways, having feedback loops integrated into each and every one of these areas is so important. And so we talked a bit about mentors, but Wairo, what are some other ways to get feedback for your business and your life?
Yeah. I mean, having an inner circle for men, I think it's really powerful to have a circle of men around you that you're really honest with and vulnerable and truthful with about the shit that is going on in your life, because the quality of our feedback loops is equivalent to the honesty with which we are bringing our current situations and reality. So when you have the people that you can be really honest with, that's going to give high quality feedback loops to you. So having that inner circle, we talked a little bit about your family, your friends. I mean, these are all really great feedback loops. Data, I love data. So getting tests done, I get tests done every year on all my physical health, hormone tests, mineral tests, blood tests, saliva tests, obviously KPIs in our businesses, and even beyond that, something like the Entrepreneur Brotherhood is designed in one of our 5 parts of our process to provide high quality direct feedback to men so that they know whether or not they're going in the right direction in the different areas and different pillars of their lives. So Hamza, I know you want to talk a little bit about that. Why don't we jump into it?
Yeah, for sure. And as Wairo said, right, you have KPIs, you have a bunch of different things in your life and your business that can help you get that feedback. And really, feedback is there to give you a different picture. And what I like to see it as is, it's imagine driving without a freaking odometer or an actual speed dial that would show you how fast you are going, or how many kilometers you've driven, or how much fuel you have left in the tank, or how much water is in the engine, your oil levels. Imagine having none of those lights, or having none of those dials. You would be screwed. And just because you know how to put your foot on the pedal and drive doesn't mean that you're going to not crash. Just like if you are already making money in your business, just like if you're already signing up clients, retaining clients, doesn't mean you're going to continue being successful. And that's why having as much feedback as possible is great. Books are a great way to get feedback. You have a relationship problem, you read a relationship book, boom, your relationship gets better. You have issues with finding friends and influencing people, you guys know which book I'm talking about. You read that book, boom, you're better in that. But why is it that we cut ourselves off from the feedback of other men that are literally going through what we've already gone through, or are on the same journey as us, or have already above and beyond where we actually want to be? why would we not surround ourselves by these kind of men? And that's the same realization Wyra and I had many years ago while we were running our business and heading into brick wall after brick wall, going through course after course, going after tactic after tactic, but then eventually hitting a ceiling with how much these people, these courses or programs could help us. And then we realized, man, your problems in business are really not business problems. They are personal problems manifesting in your business. And when you don't have the feedback, the mirrors around you to show you how you are showing up in your business, then you are bound to have the same issues. No wonder why there are people that are having the same product as you, in the same niche as you, in the same industry as you, but they are leaps ahead of you. There's no difference in anything but the person who runs the business. Therefore, it's you in the business that needs to be worked on. So that's why we created the Entrepreneur Brotherhood, which is really there, as Wyra said, as a 5-step process, but feedback is a very, very big part of it. And we're there to give each other brutal, candid, honest feedback so that we can ultimately make the business moves and life moves to reach our full potential and actually gain mastery in all areas of life. If that is something that is of interest to you, then feel free to DM me. I'm more than happy to chat about it and see if this may be a fit for you and for you to be a part of our container. Hope you guys enjoyed this live training. We'll see you on the next one.
Just on that thought, bro, sorry, just before you cut off, I have to wrap it up with there's 2 big types of feedback loops, and we touched on some of them earlier, but there's active feedback loops and there's passive feedback loops, right? Reading a book is a passive feedback loop. It's not a mirror for you. It's not providing you any feedback based on your current situation. Absorbing a podcast is a passive feedback loop. Taking a business mastermind where you're absorbing strategies and tactics is a passive feedback loop. An active feedback loop is, hey, I've got this problem, something that I'm dealing with, and you're getting a feedback loop on that. And I think that one of the reasons that so many entrepreneurs struggle to gain clarity and momentum in their business and in their life is because they're relying on passive feedback loops. Books, courses, membership sites, masterminds, podcasts, but the Entrepreneur Brotherhood that Hamza just talked about, this is an active feedback loop where you show up as you are, you bring the data, and then you get personalized, customized feedback that helps you iterate and take that next step. So yeah, had to add that in, man. Sorry to cut you off, just as final thoughts, but thanks guys for checking out this live. We will see you next time.